Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Jnanamirandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Sakshurunmilitamena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Swayambhuva Kadamyam Tadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Udapada Kamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavancham Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sakagana Raghunadanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sakagana Lalita Shri Vishakanvitam Cham He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesa Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishobhanu Sutte Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarupya Chakrupa Sindhubhya Eva Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shiva Sadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna. So good morning to all the devotees. Welcome to the Bhagavad-gītā class today. Today we will be discussing about the overview of Dhyana, 6th chapter. The topic of this chapter is, title of this chapter is Dhyana Yoga. So I pray to all devotees to give me your blessings so that whatever I speak will be pleasing to the Supreme Lord, Guru and Krishna, and beneficial to all of us. So today we will first review what we have seen in the 5th chapter yesterday, and then we will also see what is the connection, relationship between the chapter 5 and chapter 6. Chapter 5 is named as titled as Karma Yoga, Action in Krishna Consciousness. So in the beginning of the 5th chapter, Arjuna asked a doubt to Krishna. Should I do Karma Yoga or should I take to renunciation? Karma Yoga means working for the Supreme Lord, and renunciation means renouncing action altogether. That is what Arjuna's understanding. So he had a small doubt or confusion that he asked from Krishna. The Supreme Lord Krishna said, both are good, both action, Karma Yoga, and Karma Yoga, whenever we say, it is devotional service, and renunciation. Both are good for self-realization, but of the two, um, of, of the two, devotional service or Karma Yoga is better and easier. So therefore, Krishna advised Arjuna to follow the path of devotional service. Then we also discussed about the three doers. In any action we perform, there are three kartas or three doers. One is our own self. When we say our own self, we as individual Atma or a spirit soul, the desire to do something, it starts from us. Maybe the desire is um, uh, influenced by the three gunas in which we are presently situated. Suppose we are not situated in any one guna, all the three gunas are present in each one of us. Sato guna, Raja guna, and Tamo guna. All three will be there in a person, but somebody who is very sattvic, the Sato guna will be very prominent, very strong. The other two gunas will be weaker. If somebody is very rajasic, that is rajoguna will be very strong in some people, and the other two gunas will be weaker. So in that way, the guna can influence our desires, etc. Anyway, whatever it is, but the individual jivatma, it is from him the desire or the initiative starts, and the desire can to start build a house, or to start a business, or to make a big voyage. So whatever it is, that kind of even to take up some adventure. So this initiative, it starts from the individual atma, and to carry out the gunas, carries out the desire, and it is to be sanctioned by Paramatma. So there are three doers. So the three doers are the individual Atma, the three gunas, and the Paramatma or the super soul. Of this, who is responsible for the reactions and the good and bad reactions? It falls only on the individual Atma, not on the Paramatma, not on the gunas, because guna, after all, it is matter, inert matter. So, but it has an influence on the jivatma. So finally, because of these three reasons, only the atma is held responsible for the actions. So therefore, if we see, look at Bhagavad-gītā as a whole, Krishna is advising Arjuna. Through Arjuna, he is advising all of us that we have to perform our action or purify our actions by dovetailing our actions with the Supreme Lord. Some devotees are very advanced. They will perform their action just to please the Supreme Lord. So that is highest level. So therefore, here there are three doers that we have yesterday discussed and understood. If anyone understands the relationship between these three doers, that is between Atma, Paramatma, and the three gunas, the intricacies of their interaction. One who understands these intricacies of this relationship or between these three doers, he will develop uh, equal vision, Pandita Samadarshina. So he can, when he sees this Pandita, when he sees a Brahmana, a learned and gentle Brahmana, or a cow, or an elephant, or a dog eater, in every body he sees the Paramatma, the Atma and Paramatma, and so he sees, he in his vision, all five are different persons, personalities, different species. He looks in equal vision. For him, all are Atma, Krishna's Amsas, and Krishna himself is present in each of these bodies as Paramatma. So this is the result of this understanding the two years relationship, and he can develop this equal vision. Then, what is the effect of such a vision? Also, we have seen on his own self, and he can see others as simply as brothers, and they all are sons of God. So he will not have heresy, and he will not have the separative mood. So he will see them, everyone, as in a brotherhood, brotherly mood, and he will see himself as a Atma, not as the body, and servant of Krishna. And then Krishna, in the two slokas, he has given as brief introduction to the Dhyana Yoga. Mm. This Dhyana Yoga or Ashtanga Yoga, he has given in two slokas, 27 and 28. And in the last sloka, Krishna has explained the peace formula. That means Bhoktaram Yajya Tapasam Sarvaloka Maheshwaram Sugridam Sarvabhutanam Nyatva Mam Santim Richachi. Anyone who understands or accepts Krishna as the supreme enjoyer, as the supreme controller, and the supreme well-wisher of everyone, only that person can have complete peace or lasting peace or transcendental peace. So this is what we have seen in the fifth chapter. And now, what is the connection between the fifth chapter and the sixth chapter? Krishna has explained how to achieve liberation through uh, Nishkama Karma Yoga. Actually, in the fifth chapter, in the first part, uh, perform your duty without attachment to the results. This is what Krishna advised Arjuna to take up. He never said stop your activity or stop your karma. He only encouraged him to take up the karma with mood of renunciation. Actually, Arjuna was thinking renunciation means stoppage of karma. Uh, and the other side, karma means no renunciation. But Krishna uh, enlightened him and asked him to perform karma with a mood of renunciation. So this is that means both must be combined. So initially Arjuna was thinking both are incompatible. Now Krishna um, enlightened him or made him to understand both can be dovetailed, both can be linked. Both are not opposed to each other, both can be combined. So you work with the mood of renunciation. If anyone works with the mood of renunciation, he will not incur the reaction. That he has explained. But in the last two slokas, 27 and 28, um, before first he talked about Nishkama Karma Yoga, and at the end of the chapter he explained how to achieve that same liberation through Ashtanga Yoga. So in there in the 27, 28 sloka, he gave only small glimpse or just introduction. Now in this chapter, Krishna is going to elaborate further on this Ashtanga Yoga or Dhyana Yoga. So the dhyana, it involves eight angas. Therefore, eight anga. That is why it is also called as Ashta Anga. Eight angas, starting with Yama, Niyama, Pranata. Like that, there are eight angas. So about which Krishna is going to explain in the sixth chapter. So we know the connection between fifth chapter and sixth chapter. So in the sixth chapter, the first part, uh, because when we want to do dhyana or meditation, it has to be performed by the mind, and all the senses have to cooperate. Then only it is possible. So therefore, here Krishna in the first part of our sixth chapter, we what we find. Um in the sixth chapter, he once again, Krishna re-emphasizes the importance of uh, action without um, fruitive results, or he is emphasizing the Nishkama Karma Yoga again in the beginning of the sixth chapter. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, one who is unattached to the fruits of his work and who works as he is obligated is in the renounced order of life. Huh? So here Krishna is again says renunciation does not mean stopping the work. So here he very clearly it says one who is unattached to the fruits of his work, that means nishkama, uh, and he who works as he is obligated. So obligation means there are some natural duties as per our social position. So that natural duty when we perform without attachment to the results is considered to be in renounced order, is in the renounced order of life. The Supreme Lord says, and he is a true mystic. He is a true mystic, and nor he who lights no fire and performs no duty. Somebody thinks I have renounced, so I will not light fire, I will not perform any work. If somebody thinks like that, he is not truly renounced. Here, Krishna very clearly says anyone who works with the detached mind, that is, without attachment to the fruits of his action, he is truly renounced, he is truly the mystic, and he is in a real sannyasi. This is what Krishna starts in the beginning of the sixth chapter, first sloka. And he further says what is called renunciation should you should know to be the same as yoga or linking oneself with the supreme. uh, Renunciation and yoga are similar or same. Earlier we have seen karma and jnana have the same goal, and here we find Krishna says sannyasa and the Ashtanga yoga, they have the same goal. And for one can never become a yogi because the idea is we want to link ourselves with the supreme through one or the other process. So that means anyone who tries to connect himself with the supreme lord is called yogi. So to become yogi, one has to uh, renounce the desire for sense gratification. So unless one renounces the desire for sense gratification, he cannot become a yogi. This Krishna tells in the second sloka. And third sloka, uh, actually he starts the Ashtanga Yoga description from here. For one who is in a neophyte stage in the Eightfold Yoga system, uh, work, that is karma, is the means for those the Ashtanga yogis who is in the beginning stage. Neophyte means he is just a beginner in Ashtanga yoga. For him, he cannot stop work. He should continue until he reaches the matured stage of yoga arudha stage. For one who is already elevated in yoga, for him no more work, he can stop the work. um, a person is said to be elevated in yoga system when having renounced all material desires. He neither acts for sense gratification or engages in fruitive activities. Okay, so like this, in the first four slokas, Krishna has given what is the connection, relationship between the sannyasa and Ashtanga yoga, and in a way he explained both are required. So one cannot become an Ashtanga yogi without renunciation. Hmm? So therefore, renunciation is required. Renunciation means giving up the desire for fruitive results and giving up the desire for sense gratification. So without that, we cannot one cannot become a yogi. So for that, towards that end, Krishna explains because it mind plays the vital role in this particular aspect of dhyana or meditation or for concentrating the mind on. So the what is the nature of the mind? Hmm? And we have two parts in this part in this particular chapter. First, Krishna talks about the nature of the mind, and then he also discusses about the intricacies of the Ashtanga yoga. Uh, the mind, it is our mind only. So we have discussed in the earlier chapter, Indriyani parani ahu indriyabhyo paramanaha manasastu parabuddhir yo buddhya paratastu sa. So there Krishna says our senses, uh, we have senses. The mind is superior to the senses. Indriyani parahu, parahu. Actually, in the mind is superior to the indriyas. Indriyani parani ahu. Indriyabhyo paramanaga. Actually, senses are superior to dull matter. So we all know our body. Body is full of senses. I mean, senses. We have eyes, ears, tongue, and skin. All these various senses they perform different sensory functions. We are able to see, we are able to hear, we are able to taste different things, food items. When we touch some hot cold objects or so like that, this capacity is built, or this capacity is there for the senses, and though it is made of the five elements. Our body is made of the panchaputa, earth, water, fire, air, ether, but the senses are superior to ordinary elements. So that is what Krishna says, indriyani para, so superior to dull matter, and mind is superior to our senses, and intelligence is superior to the mind, and atma is superior to all these. So therefore, um, in the hierarchy, uh, atma is the topmost. Atma can control the mind, can control the intelligence, he can control the senses. Ultimately, he is the controller, he is the boss. And when the mind is, but to have them as our to have a control over our mind, intelligence, and senses, so then atma has to be very strong. That means we have to cultivate our mind such a way the mind becomes our friend, not our enemy. So this is what Krishna says, udaret atmanam na atmanam avasadayat. Udaret atman atmanam na atmanam avasadayat. Atmaiva hi atmana bandhur atmaiva ripur atmanaha. So Krishna says we should, as a human being, as a, I mean, Atma occupying a human body, we have the capability and intelligence, or all the faculties required to regulate or control our Atma, I'm our mind. So Udaret Atmanatmanam, one should elevate himself to higher level using the atma. One should not degrade oneself uh, uh, through the mind. So we have to use our mind to elevate, not to degrade. And the mind is a good friend, and it can also be our enemy. So when the mind is working in under our control, under when it is cooperating with atma, then he is our best friend. When it is acting independent of the atma, then it acts against the atma, and it can bring many difficulties, problems. So that's why Krishna says, bandhu atmanatmanastasya. So for him who has conquered the mind, for the atma, who has conquered the mind, for the individual who has conquered the mind is the best of friends. But for one who has failed to do so, his mind will remain the greatest enemy. If we have not cultivated our mind, then our mind will remain as our enemy. This is what here we Krishna tells in the fifth and the sixth sloka of the sixth chapter. Uh, for one who has conquered the mind, the super soul is already reached, because the goal of Ashtanga Yogi is to realize the Paramatma or super soul present uh, within us. Hmm. So the Ashtanga Yogi, his attempt or his goal is to realize the Paramatma or super soul. And here Krishna says, one for one who has cultivated his mind, for one who has cultivated his conquered his mind, the super soul is already attained or already reached. For he has attained tranquility, because once the mind is under our control, he will be peaceful. Tranquility means peaceful. To such a man, for him, happiness and distress, heat and cold, honor and dishonor are all the same. So one who has reached this level of consciousness, for one whose mind is under his control, he is freed from all these dualities. So dualities means sometimes we feel happy when we are glorified, when somebody insults, we feel bad. So this is due to this duality of the material world, material nature. So uh, we these changes it happen in us. So when somebody glorifies us, we feel very happy. When somebody uh, denigrates us, then we feel very bad. So this should the person who reach this level, he will not be elated or depressed when such thing happens to him. He will remain same. When somebody glorifies, praises him, okay, no problem. If somebody scolds him, also he doesn't react, or he takes everything as equal, same. This is the position of one who has conquered his mind, and he remains in tranquility. Um, a person is said to be established in self-realization, and is called a yogi, who, when he is fully satisfied by virtue of acquired knowledge and realization, all this Krishna tells, then this is what we just discussed. Bandhur Atmanastasya Yena Atmaiva Atmana Jitaha. So for him who has one who has conquered the mind is best of friends. But for one who has failed to do so, Anatmanastu Satrutve. So Anatmanas means one who has not conquered his mind. For him, the mind will act as his enemy. uh, So his mind will remain the greatest enemy. Anatmanastu satrutve vartetatmaiva satruvat. So therefore, um, we have to cultivate our mind. So it depends how we cultivate the mind. The mind can work as our friend or as our enemy. Um, if we cultivate our mind, and if it becomes our mind works as our friend, then the symptoms are the mind will follow the direction, and it will our whole life will progress. There will be progressive, and because the one of the basic function of the mind is making choices. When several things are there, when we are offered some three four choices, then we make a choice. The choices are made by the mind. So therefore we will make progress, and whatever choices we make with our mind, the choices will be healthy choices. And also, once we are the mind is fully controlled and cultivated, and it will be detached from sense gratification. So even if the senses propose the mind will just reject them. And result, what if we have our, if we make our mind as our best friend, what is the result? Then we will be freedom, and freedom from the material entanglement and reactions, and it will lead to higher elevation in Krishna consciousness. If the mind remains as our enemy, then we will follow the sinful desires. uh, so in the mind will go after the sinful desires like lust, anger, greed, then go for fighting, and maybe go after money, wealth, and all our energy, because in a human life we have some energy. If all the energy is spent on such things as lust, anger, greed, we will have no energy to do anything good for us. So then that, if you are involved in this kind of lust, anger, greed, due to the unfriendly mind, then that will lead to irritation, agitation of the mind, misguided, and even on small things we will get angry. uh, so then it leads to attachment to the sense objects of sense gratification. So then it leads to degradation and entanglement. So therefore, Krishna advises us to cultivate or conquer the mind. Uh, So the mind, if the mind is focusing on spirituality, if his mind is focusing on the Supreme Lord, uh, then it will have the divine consciousness, divine thinking, and it will cooperate with the Atma for higher purpose. If it is like works our like enemy, then it is like a big fire. When a big fire, we do not know what will be the consequences. When Krishna is in our mind, then it will be like almost like a perfectly oiled mechanical arrangement. So it will work perfectly well. So both the point is, we each one of us, we have both this divine and demoniac nature. One can, which one we want to uh, cultivate, which one we want to illuminate. So accordingly, if we have to choose the path for illumination of our mind and consciousness, then Krishna consciousness will be very easy. So the life lesson is, I am not this body. This has been the main theme right from chapter second. I am not this body. Next, we are not this mind also. Hmm. So we are not this mind also. By Lord's grace, I can control the mind, because we are the owner of the body, and we are the owner of the mind. Not the We are not under the control of the body or under the control of the mind. But many times it happens. So we many times we just remain as somebody controlled by the mind. So rather we must act as the boss or controller of the mind. So by Lord's grace, we have the capacity to control the mind. So for that, we have to follow this yoga process. Yoga means linking ourselves with the Supreme. Union between individual consciousness and the Supreme consciousness. Individual consciousness is we as Atma. We have a individual consciousness. Why individual consciousness? For my consciousness is confined within myself. I have some feeling, willing, thinking, all this, and awareness of within my body, even the extended awareness is only limited. And whereas Krishna, he is conscious of every every jivatma, every jivatma, what their desire, what they think, what is their position, all these are known to him. and he is all pervading. He is present as Paramatma along with us, and he is also present within even inanimate matter. Without the presence of Atma, even the material world cannot function. So the Supreme Lord is Supreme Consciousness, and ultimately he is a Supreme Person, Krishna. He has got all the divine qualities. So uh, linking our individual consciousness with that Supreme Consciousness, Supreme Person, Krishna, is what is called yoga. Mm. So that means it is the goal is higher goal to link ourselves with the Supreme. But many times people think yoga is simply some breathing exercise. Breathing exercise may be a step to reach the ultimate goal. But the breathing exercise by itself is not the yoga. It may be one step, as in the eight angas or eight steps. It may be the one of the steps. And breathing exercise or physical exercise, it may give a healthy body, but that itself is not yoga. So to reach this level of union between individual consciousness and Supreme Consciousness, that is the goal we want to achieve through breathing exercise, physical exercise, going to Himalayas. All this, if it helps to this level, there can be some ladders, but by themselves they are not yoga. Uh, and Mostly in the present day, many places people teach in, even during Prabhupada's time, there were many yoga schools in the US, in America. They were teaching this kind of breathing exercise, etc. And actually, it might give some good facility for sense enjoyment through better health. So we are started with Sakama Karma. Hmm? Sakama Karma means the offering the results to the Supreme Lord. Then Nishkama Karma, we offer the duty itself. So the duty itself is performed for the pleasure of the Supreme Lord. So that is the next higher level. From we all, maybe we will even below Sakama Karma, but if somebody is on the Sakama Karma level, so he performs sacrifices or karma and offer the results to the Supreme Lord. And then the Nishkama Karma, we offer our duties or perform the duties for the Supreme Lord, Nishkama Karma. Then somebody in the Jnana Yogis, we uh, we earlier we also discussed about the Brahman, Paramatma, Bhagavan. So the Jnana Yogis, they try to realize the Brahman. So Brahman is one aspect of God. Krishna says, but Brahman is not um, complete realization. Brahman realization is not complete, because Krishna says, Brahmanohi Pratistha Aham. I am the source for the impersonal Brahman. So, but Brahman is the light effulgence or effulgence of the Supreme Lord Krishna. So, in the Jnana Yogis, they try to merge with the Brahman. Right, for the time being, that we will just keep that in mind. So Jnana Yogis, their goal is to merge with the Brahman, because they think by merging with Brahman, all their material miseries will be stopped, because if we live in a material world, we have a material body, and therefore there are a lot of sufferings, but we are Atma. So why should I live in a material body? If I merge with the Brahman, I will lose my identity, and therefore there will be no more suffering. So they want to get rid of material suffering. They think merging is the option, but merging is not the permanent position, because there is no bliss. It is only eternity. And then next is even that means after merging some period they will come down. That is what Krishna says in the Bhagavad-gītā. Then next is the Ashtanga Yoga. That's what we are discussing in this sixth chapter. These yogis, they initially they perform all these different angas of the uh, Ashtanga Yoga. So that involves many physical exercises or yogic postures until they reach the level of yoga rudra or matured stage, where at that stage the mind is completely under their control, senses are fully under their control. They can sit at one place and concentrate or focus their mind, everything, and fix their mind completely on the Paramatma. So when by this process of the Ashtanga Yoga, they start with the Yoga Aruksha, and then Yoga Arudha stage they attain, and then they reach the stage of Samadhi. In the stage of Samadhi, they are fully absorbed in the Paramatma. They can realize the Paramatma, and it also can offer different siddhis. Sometimes, if they are attracted by siddhis and they get the siddhis, then they lose. If they ignore the various siddhis available on the way, if their target goal is only realizing Paramatma, then they are successful. And then the ultimate stage is the Bhakti Yoga. In Bhakti Yoga, one realizes the Supreme Lord Krishna in all his three features. And the devotee realizes that he is the Brahman, he is the Paramatma, he is ultimately Bhagavan. And we have a eternal relationship with him, and we have a eternal duty to love and serve him and reciprocate with him in a mood of love and service. So this way, it is a gradual stage from one step to another step. Ultimately, it all should take us to the devotional service or bhakti yoga. So without bhakti yoga, one cannot enter into the spiritual world. That is the point. So therefore, these are the systematic, gradual development from sakama karma up to bhakti yoga. So the life lesson is we have to choose our goal, whether we want to remain in sakama karma or nishkama karma or ashtanga yoga or Brahman realization level, or Ashtanga Yoga, or ultimately Bhakti Yoga. So, if our goal is to realize Krishna, then we have to take Bhakti Yoga. You choose your goal, and that defines your role. If we want, if our goal is to realize Krishna, then our role is we have to act as devotee of Krishna. Hmm. So that means there are sadhana bhakti. Then in sadhana bhakti there are various activities involved, and when we in that particular role, what are our responsibilities and duties and do's and don'ts, and then these things are taught to us, or somehow Krishna will arrange to guide us through. So it is individual choice. So there are all these various stages are there, and each one it has got different goals, not the same goal. So the goals are different, and therefore um, then according to each individual's choice, they will have to play their role. In the Ashtanga Yoga, which is described from the 10th sloka up to 36th sloka, various yogic practices they are all described. In the initial stage, um, there are physical and mental activities. Physical exercise means these various asanas, etc. They are physical part, and mental part is the meditation part. So both the mind and the body is engaged in the practices, and this is not a easy process. Ashtanga yoga means one has to to practice this, one cannot live in a family or within a city. So he has to go to a forest or secluded place, where there will not be things which will distract its mind. So one has to go select such a the lonely place, and and also should be favorable for performing this kind of difficult physical and mental practices. So this Krishna explains in the process of the performing the various Ashtanga yoga practices. Huh? Then how he has to sit and how he has to breathe, samam, kaya, shiro, giraivam. So all this Krishna is explaining. One should hold one's body straight, and neck and head erect in the straight line. All these in the 13th verse it describes the various sitting postures, and the Ashtanga yogi has to practice. Then next is the Prasantatma Vigata Bir Brahmachari Vratishita. And for one who wants to advance in the Ashtanga Yoga, Brahmacharya Vrata is very, very important. So here in the cities, we can find many people who are grihasthas, and then they also go and learn yoga, and they say, I have become a Ashtanga yogi. No, Prasantatma here says the practicing those thus practicing constant control of the body, mind, and activities, and mystic transcendentalist, his mind regulated attains to the kingdom of God by cessation of material existence. So this is how uh, he is able to uh, reach the higher level. So therefore, the Ashtanga yogis, they have a very, very difficult process to make progress. Here he is explaining, thus with an unagitated, subdued mind, devoid of fear, completely free from sex life, one should meditate upon me within the heart and make me the ultimate goal of life. So all these the um, conditions that are to be fulfilled in Astanga Yogi are very serious points. And in the 26th sloka, we that because maybe even one can practice all the asanas, etc., and the even the senses can come under control, but the mind is very, very difficult to control. So this in the 26th verse Krishna explains, yato yato nischalati manaschanchalam astiram tatastado niyamaitat atmaniyeva vasam nayat. So when the Ashtanga yogi sits and tries to focus the mind on the Paramatma, but the mind wanders here and there. No, it is flickering due to its flickering mind. Mind's nature is sanchala. Mind is nischala or sanchala. It is always moves from one thought to another, from past, present to future, future maybe present even to some time past. So it can transcend time, space, anything. So that is the nature of the mind. So whenever the mind wanders due to its flickering and unsteady nature, one should not think, okay, we cannot control the mind, so I will not be able to. But one must certainly withdraw. So it is in the nature of the mind is to go here and there, but the Atma, as the controller of the mind, it should bring the mind back to the point. So one should certainly withdraw it and brings it back under the control of the self. So in this way, by practice only, one can bring the mind under control. So Ashtanga yoga practices, it focuses on mental control, unagitated mind, calm mind, and no material desires, and no interaction with the external world, and complete celibacy. Lamb, when he attains this kind of level, When Ashtanga yogi's mind is unattached or unagitated, no material desire, and he is completely freed from this sex life, that means complete celibacy, then his situation, as we can see in this picture, it is like a lamp in a windless place. Sometimes in a windless place, when the lamp is burning, it will be very, even it will not move even a millimeter. So it will very steady and giving bright light, and that many times you would have experienced how a lamp in a windless place burns. Uh, so that is the situation of a yogi who has attained all these unagitated mind, no material desire, complete celibacy, and that is like lamp in a windless place, and his habits are already regulated. So when he attains these eight stages of Ashtanga Yoga, in this there are many yama, niyama, asana, pranayama. These are all the uh, physical parts, external disciplines. Yama means what to do, what not to do. Uh, Niyama means internal disciplines. Asana means that is what we are talking about, yoga asanas, meditation, sitting postures. And pranayama is breath control. Then pratyahara, withdrawing the senses from the external objects, and dharana is focusing the mind on the supreme. And initially there may be difficulties, and continuous through continuous practice one reaches further improvement, and meditative initially mind goes sometime away, then meditative absorption, and ultimately complete absorption in the Paramatma, that is the Samadhi, that is union or integration with the Supreme Paramatma. So this is the eight stages. Each stage it takes longer period of time. This cannot be achieved in, we find in the Puranas, some yogis, they take 10,000 years, at 40,000 years, like that. It involves long years of practice to this reach this level. But in Kali Yuga, our lifetime is itself is 100 years, and in that we have so many other distractions. So therefore, this Ashtanga Yoga is impracticable for the Kali Yuga. So when this process was explained to Arjuna, Arjuna he simply expressed his inability. Sanchalam hi mana Krishna, Paramadi balavat dridam, tashyagam nigraham manye, vayuriva sudushkaram. So my mind is restless, turbulent, obstinate, and it is very strong. Oh Krishna, and to subdue my mind, I think is it's more difficult than controlling the wind. Even the I can even control the wind, but not my mind. So therefore, this process what you are suggesting to me, the dhyana yoga or ashtanga yoga, it appears very difficult to me. Hmm. So Krishna's Arjuna simply rejects this process, that I will not be able to perform. Huh? So the this example gives the chariot of the body. So in the chariot, we have the chariot is driven by the five senses, which represent the five horses, and the five horses are controlled by the mind and intelligence, and the atma is holding, the intelligence is actually holding, the mind, the kadivalam, that is the horse, this one that represents the mind, and intelligence is the driver, and the soul is one who is traveling using this vehicle of the five senses, mind and intelligence. So if the soul, atma, is if he is really in control of the senses, mind and intelligence, then the travel will be smooth and he will attain the destination. If he is not able to control the senses, mind, and intelligence, then he cannot be sure of his destination, or sometime it can lead to some uh, accidents. So, life lesson is multitasking is actually reducing our attention span. Success comes from focus, not by dividing it. So here, the focusing the mind or our consciousness on the goal is very important. When we at a time, sometimes we chant and we want also at the same time hear some lecture or see some video of Krishna film or something. So that some people, that kind of multitasking is actually distracts, and our attention to the chanting is affected. So if we want to have a chanting, that during the chanting period or even reading, then other things must be stopped, and the focus must be only on studying Bhagavad-gītā or on chanting. So then we can be more successful. Success means by reading I want to learn the intricacies. So if our mind is distracted by other activities, then we will not have the focus. So therefore focus comes from success comes from focus, not by dividing the focus. Okay. uh, so life lesson is to don't spam your mind. So that means we should not keep so many things, unwanted things in our mind. Focus on what is really good for us. So then, in this is what Arjuna tells in the 37th sloka. Oh Krishna, what is the destination of? Okay, because so far Krishna has explained the Astanga Yoga, and after hearing this, Arjuna feels this such a difficult yoga. If he is not able to be successful, so if he is not able to reach the level of the samadhi, then if he, somebody lives in between, fails or somewhere, what happens to him? Not only this question is not only for the Ashtanga yogis, even Bhakti yogi or other yogis, if they are in between on the way, if they leave the path, what will be their destination? Oh Krishna, what is the destination of the unsuccessful transcendentalist who in the beginning takes to the process of self realization with faith, but who later desists due to worldly mindedness and thus does not attain perfection in mysticism? What will be his situation? So to that Krishna says, the such an unsuccessful yogi, after many years of enjoyment on the planets of pious living entities, is born into a family of righteous people or into a family of rich aristocracy. Sushinam Srimatam Gehe Yoga Brashta Abhijayate. So in the next birth, because immediately after leaving this body, he goes to the higher planet, and he has a long years of enjoyment, and then he is born into family of rich people or family of some righteous people, devotee family, and that provides further opportunity to progress. This is what Krishna says. So this he falls from advanced position, takes birth in a spiritual family, falls from actually somebody he has practiced for many years. Let us say somebody has practiced Astanga Yoga for 10,000 years, but he has not attained the final stage. Then if somebody has long years of practice and then he falls, then such a person, after spending so many thousands of years in the higher planets, he takes birth in spiritual family. And somebody just began Krishna Astanga Yoga, spent maybe some few years and failed. So that person also goes to heaven, enjoys, and then takes birth in rich aristocratic family. So there is a slight difference. The advanced yogi, he takes birth in a spiritual family, and the yogi who has left the yoga process after initial stages, he gets a birth in aristocratic family. So the life lesson is spirituality, whether you are just a beginner or advanced. In any case, one does not lose. The spirituality is a win-win situation always, because Krishna says one who has taken to this path of spiritual life, he will never be, he will not lose anything. So he will always gain. After saying all this about the various Ashtanga Yoga practices, Krishna concludes this chapter with the two slokas 46 and 47. Yogi is greater than the ascetic, and greater than the empiricist, greater than fruity worker. Therefore, Arjuna, in all circumstances, you be a yogi. So yogi is one who is in connection with the Supreme Lord, one who is always conscious of the Supreme Lord Krishna. Such a yogi is greater than any ascetic. He is greater than the Astanga yogi. He is greater than the jnani. Empiricist is jnani, and greater than the fruity worker. Fruity worker is karmi. So yogi is greater than karmi, jnani, and Ashtanga yogi. So therefore, you become a yogi. You be a yogi all the time. Huh? Of all the yogis, Krishna says, Yoginam api sarvesham madgatena antaratmanam Shraddhavan bhajete yomam same yuktatamo mataha. All other yogas are progression towards the destination of Bhakti Yoga. So one starts with Karma Yoga and progresses to Jnana Yoga and Ashtanga Yoga. Ultimately, one should reach the stage of Bhakti Yoga, where one can have the relationship or loving relationship with Krishna. That is the culmination of all these other stages of yoga. So one should go up to the level of Bhakti Yoga, should not stop somewhere in between. Oh, I have attained some siddhi, then he has not reached the highest. So that's why Krishna says, Yoginam api sarvesham madgatena antaratmana shraddhavan bhajete yomam same yuktatamo mataha. Of all yogis, the one with great faith who always abides in me, thinks of me within himself, and renders transcendental loving service to me, he is the most intimately united with me in yoga and is the highest of all. And that's my opinion. So Krishna has given his final opinion that bhakti yogi is the topmost. So one should try to become a devotee of Krishna through the process of bhakti yoga. Though Krishna has explained the various stages of Ashtanga yoga and the intricacies and the progress, gradual stages of development, and here at the end of this chapter, Krishna concludes that bhakti yoga is the topmost, and one should strive to become a devotee. Madgatena antaratmana. So that means within his mind, antaratmana, within his mind, he abides in me and thinks of me within himself. This is what Krishna wants. So anyone who develop this nature of always thinking of Krishna, abide by his instructions, and then he is on a higher platform. Shraddhavan bhajate, render service to him. These three are instructions. Madgatena antaratmana, Shraddhavan bhajate, who worships the Supreme Lord in his deity form, and then he chanting the holy name, all the other processes. So the Bhakti Yoga is the topmost yoga system. It brings maximum results and minimum effort. So you don't have to go to the Himalayas and spend thousands of years. Uh, and that means so many things are there. In top Bhakti Yoga, it doesn't call for you all these. And even without qualification, uh, we are, by engaging in ourselves in devotional service, we become completely sin free, and Krishna takes control of our progress. So because bhakti yogis are under the guidance and control of the Supreme Lord Krishna. So therefore, Bhakti Yoga is the topmost yoga system for all of us, particularly those who are, we are who those we who of us we are here in the present Kali Yuga, and this is the recommended process. Therefore, by this one can attain through Bhakti Yoga, we can attain the spiritual world, Goloka Vrindavana. That is the destination of the topmost yogi. So other yogis cannot reach this Goloka Vrindavana through the other yoga processes. So there in the Goloka, we can have relationship with Krishna in any of these five rasas. One can be a servant, Dashya, or one can be a friend in the Sakya. One can be a father, mother in Vatsalya Bhava, or one can be his lover in the form of Madhurya. So Shanta means only neutral. So that cow and they have a neutral relationship. Whereas in the human form, we have the rasas or emotional relationship with Krishna. So the five types of relationships exist, and we can reach that level. So this is what we have seen. Maybe we already have time. I will stop here. Anyway, tomorrow we will start. Before starting seventh chapter, I will again review the sixth chapter and then proceed. So I will stop here, friends. Then, if you have any doubts or clarifications, we can have one or two questions.
Thank you, Prabhuji, very much. Thank you very much, Prabhuji.
Hare
And
Krishna.
participants, if you have any questions, you can unmute yourself and ask. Thank you.
I think everything is clear. So no more questions. The subject is very clear.
There is one question from Mataji. Mataji, you can unmute yourself. Sita Mataji. Sita Lakshmi Mataji.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning. Hare Krishna.
In Hare Krishna. I wanted the last part alone that you said of the 5 ways in which we can relate to Krishna.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
you said one is parent, one is friend, one is lover, and then what else did you say? What were the others?
First is Santarasha. Santarasha means like neutral position. So, like the cow is with Krishna, that is represents Santarasha. And next is Dasya. Dasya means we consider ourselves Krishna's servants, and in the mood of a servant rendering service to Krishna, that is called Dasya. And next is each one has got certain qualities. And Sakya. Sakya is friends. Friendship can be we can have friendship only if both the friends are on the equal platform. So the devotees who consider Krishna as their equal, uh, Krishna also treats them as equal. Like Arjuna and Krishna, they eat from the same plate. They were sleeping on the same bed, and they were chit chatting. All that kind of, that means equality. Without equality, friendship cannot develop, and that is called Sakya. And next is Vatsalya. Vatsalya means we can be Krishna's father, mother, and even sometimes elder. So then they are not equal father and mother. They are treated as superior to Krishna, like Yasoda, Nanda Maharaja. So Krishna will serve them, and they will chastise Krishna, and they will protect Krishna. They will treat Krishna as his dependent. Krishna is dependent on me. Actually, everyone depends on Krishna, but in the father, those who are the Vatsalya Bhava, they will think Krishna as their the Krishna is unless I take care of him, Krishna will be lost. So that kind of like that is called the Vatsalya Bhava. And then the like the gopis and Radharani, they are in the Madhurya Bhava. So therefore, these 5 types of relationship in the perfect form is present in the spiritual world. So the devotee, when we attain spiritual world, we can be with Krishna in any of these bhava and render service to Krishna. This is what is mentioned there.
Okay, and when you say neutral, what does that mean? That means without a sense of feeling, or
Yeah, neutral means sometimes even the yogis, they consider Krishna as the supreme. Okay, that's all. That emotional
no,
part is lacking.
right? And Madhurya is like in the role of a lover,
Lover.
right? Got it. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, man. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Okay, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. So, devotees, we will end our session today here. Tomorrow we'll meet again. Tomorrow we'll discuss the overview of 7th chapter. Thank you all, those who participated today. Thank you. And I thank Raja Prabhu for hosting. I'm very sorry, little today we have little over time, so we extended the time. Tomorrow we'll try to complete in time. Okay.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.